Hello guys, Wargamer Dad here. Welcome to episode 8 of my Mortal Realms review. Sadly, we're not joined by Wargamer Daughter this week as she has been violently ill. When I say violent, she's punching people. Yeah, she's unfortunately spent most of last night being very, very ill. As you'd expect from episode 8, we're reviewing issue 8, which has, frankly, the coolest model yet, in my opinion. In it, which is the, let's see what it's called, the Celestar Ballistus, which is a nifty model. Nifty enough to make me want to get a second one of these, but I've resisted so far. It is an artillery piece for the Stormcast. It is frankly fantastic looking. The base work has a lot of detail. I'm gonna get out of the way. Yeah, it's a giant Ballistor or Scorpio. Basically, it's a massive crossbow. Although it's all internal, it just has some amazing details on it. Sadly, I've still got to sort the lights out in this place. But yeah, it looks fantastic. You've got the padded armor there as opposed to the usual chainmail or robes, which makes sense if you're dealing with a lot of springs and things like that. You've got a huge base for it. You've got 2 bases for the crew. It's the best model so far. It's just amazing. Good quality of plastic, as we'd expect from GW. So much detail. It's going to be a bugger to paint, but it's still pretty damn cool. You notice I'm down slightly low. That's because I'm recording from my shed this week. I'm doing that just because with an ill child, it's been a bit of a stressful day, and the little one's in there not eating his dinner right now and throwing tantrums about it. And we're running out of time before I have to go to bed with him because he insists. He's just moved into his own room, so at this point he insists that Daddy comes and reads him a story. In this issue, we've got a lot of cool stuff signed by Ian, our spiritual liege. Nice little blurb there telling us what we got. Dive straight in page 1 to the Celestial Ballisters. There we can see 3 of them lined up. The basic blurb goes, atop the walls of a grand stormkeep, celestial ballisters cover the approach. Any enemy foolish enough to attempt a head-on assault will soon be shredded by a hail of sigmarite bolts, or torn apart by searing blasts of magical lightning. Celestial ballisters cover the walls of every stormkeep. They are potent artillery weapons with great range and a rapid rate of fire, and the ability to cut down dozens of enemies before they ever reach the walls of the defence. So that looks cool. I look forward to using it. I think I might get a second one just because, although yeah, it kind of balances out because Julia has extra bad guys from the first issue. Not chain rasp from the first issue because I had an extra issue. Unfortunately, because I didn't know if I was keeping this or even building a Stormcast Harmony when I reviewed the first issue the first time, when it was on the trial run, I gave the... Nope, my brain's failed there. I gave the Stormcast models to my 4-year-old son so that he could play with them because they're actually fairly solid models. He's still got them, but I'm not taking stuff away. It then goes on to cover the Sacristan Engineers. The engineers belong to the Sacrosanct Chamber, members of the Ordinatus Conclave. These warrior engineers command the chamber's magical field artillery. Sacristan Engineers crew Celestar Ballisters and even infuse the weapon's sigmarite bolts with magic, so that's pretty cool. This is all in line with what we've had previously. All the stuff we've got shoots magical weapons, all the stuff we've hit had magical weapons. Oh, almost forgot actually. You also get a pot of Cantor Blue, which if you're running it at the standard paint scheme, you'll need a lot of. If you're not, it's actually a really nice blue. I used it for Space Wolf, the variant army that I did a nice deep blue, although they ended up looking a lot like Night Lords. So if you want to paint Night Lords, Cantor Blue's your friend. Cantor Blue and Blue Wash. Anyway, we've got the loader there, who's got the magazines. These are an auto bolt thing, so they have magazines. One of the Sacristan engineer crew loads the bolts into the Celestar baluster. Though the bolts are kept in cases, they wear heavy gauntlets. It's also annoying, they haven't got as much armour on, they've got bare arms. They've got chest armour and leg armour, but their arms are bare. I'd imagine just to keep the temperature down on them. Wear heavy gauntlets to protect themselves from the heat and magical energy stored within. And you've got a spotter. The second Sacristan engineer is responsible for aiming the celestial baluster. They ensure that each valuable bolt hits its target with perfect accuracy. They carry a range of advanced range-finding equipment designed to assist them with this task. It then goes on to cover all the, the lights back there, so all the details and all the tools. You've got the baluster itself. You've got various tools to fix it, the magazines to load it. Each Sacristan engineer bears the symbol of the Ordnance Conclave on their left shoulder. The Sacristan crew are armed for close combat, and the Sacristan engineers are calm warriors. They keep firing even when the enemy is upon them, so that's pretty cool. Next, we're diving into the realm of Shyish. Shyish may be the realm of death, but it is home to many mortals. Life in Shyish can be harsh and cruel, but there are those that thrive, even in the unforgiving mists of Nagash's realm. There's actually quite a lot of cities in Shyish. Most of them are controlled by Nagash now. Probably all of them, I think. But a lot of them were settled by Sigmar before he rescued and woke Nagash up. Meaning that they were, at least to begin with, independent from Nagash. Now, who knows? And they're separate from the heavens you find in, or the afterlives you find in Shyish. In that they're mostly about normal people. I mean, an example of one of the cities is Shadespire. It used to be a powerful, potent city, and then Nagash crushed it and basically warped it into a tiny realm to mess with it. But there have been many successful cities in Shyish. It's just Nagash F's with them. It goes on to say the citizens of Shyish may well have suffered more than those in any mortal realm. During the Age of Chaos, the realms are run by demons, cruel sorcerers, and other followers of the dark gods. And then the Age of Sigmar hasn't been much kinder. The forces of chaos have been driven back, but in their place, Nagash's undead legions have grown in power. And then the Necroquake changed the very nature of the realm of death. Many smaller, older underworlds of Shyish have been drawn into the Shyish Nadir, and those souls of those who lived there now feed Nagash's power. So, yeah, it's a bit of a messed up realm. Not particularly one you want to live in, but there are mortals and living creatures in there as well as the dead. And there are even Sigmarites that fight in there, so that's pretty messed up. Despite its position, the realm of death, Shyish still bustles with life, which makes sense. You can't have life without death. Her people may not brim with joy, but they are hardy and practical. Nagash's spectre hangs over their every step. However, weird stuff. However, and many have taken to worshipping the great necromancer in the hope that he will treat them kindly. Weird punctuation there. It then covers the people of Shyish. You've got Redran, the Morn of Shyish, who's this dude here. Shyish is a vast land with many different mortal civilizations. Nagash's shadow looms over the entire realm. Many of them wear grim totems in his honour and offer prayers in his name. Even grand cities of order such as Lethis and Glimsforge are gloomy places filled with tombs and ancient temples dedicated to long dead gods. So it's all quite cool. It then goes on to cover the cosmology of Shyish and stuff like that. Next part is called Realms Besieged. The Realms Besieged. On the haunted streets of Glimsforge, the Nighthaunt prowl. In their way stand the hammers of Sigmar, who will yield to no foe. So this is about Glimsforge, one of the cities of order in Shyish. It's worth noting that Shyish is a realm of order because Nagash is one of the gods of order. It's just he's a dick. Right, the Liberator Valorous raised his hammer to strike. Oh, there's a nice little story there. I'm not going to read that. I don't want to destroy that. But he goes, amidst the ancient... I'll read the blurb here. Amidst the ancient tombs of Glimforge, Sigmar's finest stand tall against advancing dead, smiting unholy spirits from the air with each strike of their Sigmarite weapons. So, you know, as I said, Sigmar founded several cities across multiple realms, actually, but even in Shyesh, and some of them still stand against Nagash and still survive. And of course, Nagash, whilst he wants to get rid of them, would probably have to take into account that he has a lot of enemies, and if he directly attacks Sigmar, you know, and Sigmar responds, it could weaken him to the point where he's then got chaos. As one of the things about the Age of Sigmar is there's a lot of powerful forces, and if anybody really commits to a war with one of them, you've got to worry that he's going to get taken out by the others, or rather, if any of the, yeah, he's going to get taken out by chaos or something like that. So whilst they're against each other and they fight each other regularly, the idea of an all-out war between Nagash and Sigmar was seemingly inevitable. I don't think it's happening yet, because, well, Nagash knows full well he has to be powerful enough to take on every single enemy out there. If he goes against Sigmar, then the Realm of Life is probably going to ally with Sigmar, chunks of the Realm of Metal are, the Realm of Chaos will probably attack everybody, and if he gets significantly weakened, they'll come back again. And without Sigmar to raise him, or some of his troopers to raise him, you know, there's no guarantee he will come back. He's managed it every time so far, but just because you've done something 100 times doesn't mean you'll manage it 101. It goes on to describe here, Glimsforge is one of the first cities to come under attack from Nagash's Nihon armies. The city is defended by the anvils of Heldenhammer and the hammers of Sigmar, who both suffered losses during the attack. The city has many networks of tombs, catacombs and temples. When the Nighthaunt attack came, these spirits burst up within the city walls and nearly overwhelmed the defenders, but they were beaten back. So they are currently holding their own, which is interesting because it not only it gives Nagash something he has to try and deal with eventually within this, but also it gives Sigmar and the other forces of order a foothold within the realm of Shyesh. Should war break out between the two of them again, so it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. Next, we've got how to build the Celestial Baluster. Yeah, we've got the instructions there. First, you have Clipper Safety. You should read the Clipper Safety. You know, if you slip, you could take off an entire arm. I joke, but it is reasonably serious. It's also got a nice little bit here. Broken pieces can be fixed by applying a little glue and holding the piece in place. Which is absolutely true. However, they won't be as strong as it originally was. If you're skilled enough, I would totally recommend pinning any broken pieces like that. If they're big broken pieces, you can get away with it. But if they're little pieces like weapons, then getting something like just a paper clip and cutting a snip off of it and using it to pin the weapon so it's solid can really be worthwhile in terms of actually having that model stay together. Otherwise, you can end up re-gluing the same piece 4 or 5 times. It damages the paintwork you've done, and it can even, where it melts the plastic slightly, you can even end up losing detail and things like that. Then got the further instructions on the Celestial Baluster. I think I'll have to get a second one of these. I've resisted getting a second one, but I'm sorry, I'm going to have to buy a second one. Then it's like how to paint the Celestial Baluster. Obviously, it's showing you the rest of them painted. It's either going to paint them gold, then use Rockland Flesh Shade on them and your other models to give you more depth, and then dry brush over the Stormhost Silver. So advise you to paint white in the robes and white on the face, and then blue on the outside of the robes there, and so on and so forth. And it also, after having told you to paint blue on those, it's showing you where to paint the blue on all the other models, so you can add that layer of blue, and your models are going to start looking, that's my dog wanted to get in, start looking roughly like the hammers of Sigmar. So that's pretty cool. Next, we've got Artillery Unleashed. which is the ballista against Glaive Wraith Stalkers. So that's a pretty cool one. It's got a nice little set of instructions there, and it's got extra bits there. It's worth knowing this one, when it's on the big thing, you're actually going to be using the movement stuff as opposed to just piling in. And then it's covering the ballista's weapons and how that works. It's another weapon that's where are we? Rolling extra things. They're also using the charge rules here because they haven't used charge rules before. They measure the distance. The distance is 6 inches, and then you got the option to charge. So you measure the distance between models. If it is 12 inches or less, roll 2 dice. If the models are within the distance the movers charge, one model will stand in base contact with the enemy. If the models aren't within the distance, then you don't move them at all. They went to charge. Oh, never mind. Then going through the details again here. So me and Julia are slowly working on catching up with them. We're doing 2 or 3 battles at a time. There's a couple already on the channel, but hopefully going to catch up. We were going to do some today, but again, she was sick. Then it covers, yet more of it. I'm not going to go through details because, that would ruin the fun. And we've got the stats here. More in detail stats for the Glaive Wraith Stalkers and stats for the ballista, as well as stats for additional forces. Despite being 3 guys, the ballista probably counts as 1 model. So you've got a move of 3 inches, 7 damage, which is when you start removing models. But I believe you remove the whole model at once. Let's have a look at this actually. Has got any explanations on that? I haven't played through this, so yeah, it's treated as 1 model. You can see on the details there he's got -3 wounds on there, and when you do it 7 damage you remove the whole thing at once. But then it says damage, 7 damage equals models removed. It's not 7 damage for, sorry, it's not 7 damage for 1 guy, 7 damage for the next guy, and 7 damage for the ballista. It's it's treated as 1 model. The reason they do that is it used to be that you treated crew and weapons separately, but that just meant nobody attacked the weapon and everybody attacked the crew. So there was no point in having a toughness thing on the weapon. And it meant that it was very easy to disable weapons. So they've given extra kind of damage to it and stuff like that to make it a bit more stable in Age of Sigmar. Sorry, that's how they used to do it in Warhammer Fantasy Battle. This is how they do in Age of Sigmar. So that's pretty cool. Back page, you've got, it's advising you, you can go into your Warhammer store, you can go online in community, and you can explore the mortal realms and loads of other things in the stores and in the books. Next issue, we have got a top up for the Sigmarites, which I'm looking forward to. What we got? 3 more Sequitors and 2 more Castigors. So that gives me a good amount of guys. And then in issue 10, you've got this girl who is a Tomb Banshee and a pot of corn red paint with which to help painting. I'm just going to go over the contents of those issues. In issue 9, you've got Sequitors and Castigors, obviously. Discover the Legions of Nagash and new rules to play through. And in issue 10, you've got the Tomb Banshee, painting with corn red, and again, new rules to play through. So that looks pretty cool. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Sorry, my daughter wasn't here, but as I say, she's poorly. Hopefully she'll be well enough to do it to be here next week. And we're going to try and play a couple of these games and see how it looks. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, remember to like and subscribe to my channel. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. Not sure why, but I am. So if you like it, see me there, and please tell your friends. Thanks very much. Bye.